Good morning and welcome back to another video, and today we are going to be going over 5 mats that you should be farming before Shadowlands. Now just stick around and enjoy the video. Okay, so today we are going to be going over 5 materials which you should be stockpiling or farming, i.e. farming, for pretty much the Shadowlands release and then therefore after. This is where you will be wanting to use these for certain different types of crafts and also reselling the materials when the prices rebalance back out, as not many people will be farming these materials, so it's a good thing to farm them up now, keep hold of them, and then you can then resell them later on when the supply has dwindled, and you can focus on the new stuff as well and still have that stockpile and still get a better gold per hour if you hold on to them for a little bit longer. Now that being the case, let's just jump into number 1, which is KHORIUM ore. Now KHORIUM ore can be found within Outland, and the best route that I personally think is the Terracar Forest. Now you can also do Nagrand, but Terracar Forest seems to be the best one for me for farming up KHORIUM ore. Now this material can only be got a hold of by a random spawn of KHORIUM ore, so that means you'll be doing the Fel Iron Ore farm for that. So if you go into Worth It, you can import the route right there for Fel Iron Ore in Terracar Forest. Now, aside from all of that, Fel Iron Ore, which you get along with this farm, you can also use this to turn into the new types of relics in order for scaling gear. You could also keep a hold of Fel Iron Ore in order to hold onto it for a better payoff in the future. That is due to the fact that a lot of people are farming these materials at the moment, and at the moment, because there's such a high supply of a lot of these materials, the prices have gone way down. So if you waited just a little bit after SL's release, you'll be able to jump straight onto SL, start farming the new materials and have that stockpile for when the supply dwindles, and you can resupply it with your stuff for a higher gold per hour if you just hold on to all of that stuff. Now, going along with this Fel Iron Ore, I would personally recommend turning into the relics for the scaling gear. The adamantite ore that you would get along with this, I would just sell flat out after SL's release, and much of the same with KHORIUM ore. Now KHORIUM ore usually sells for a high ticket price, but at the moment quite a lot of people are actually farming this type of stuff, so it's probably better suited to keep a hold of this for in the future when the prices rebalance back out, as it is kind of a rare material. Now that being the case, let's just jump on to number 2. The number 2 is another BC item, and that is Knothide leather. Now Knothide leather can be combined with multiple different other scales or leather farms within Outland, and the one that I would like to specifically talk about is crystal infused leather. Now this one can be found within the Blasted Lands, and pretty much what you're doing is you're running around in like an ellipse type shape, and you're pretty much just taking out all of the ores which are around the area, and overall you'll be getting quite a lot of crystal infused leather, which is a specific type of leather for BC and can be used to turn into different types of transmog items. You could also use that to sell that flat on the auction house for a pretty penny, as it does tend to sell for a high price. And along with that, with the Knothide leather, you can also hold on to that for the new relics with that, because all of the other different types of mats and the different variations of relics depending on your profession and all that stuff. So you could also use that to stockpile up to make relics, or you could resell for a higher price for other people who want to make their relics. And that is another way in order to increase your gold, is just to hold on to that Knothide leather throughout that time. Now, along with this, the crystal infused leather is not used for relics, but is a nice item to just keep on hand to resell within SL, because then usually, because it's a rarish item, so to speak, and it's not farmed overly that much, then what you can do is you can keep hold of that, and then when the supply dwindles once again, you can then use that to resell or reset the market as you so wish, and reset it for a price that's reasonable, not stupidly insanely priced, but you could resell it for like double the amount, and you'd probably be able to sell that on. Now, aside from all of that, the relics for the Knothide leather I would personally do, because relics are looking to be quite good, so I would keep a hold of a nice stockpile of KNOTHIDE leather. Other than that, let's just jump into number 3, which is SARONITE ore. Now the SARONITE ore farm, and I think you guys know which one I'm going to mention, and that is the Winter Grasp farm. Now this one is primarily my most favourite farm of all time. It's been the most reliable throughout every single expansion and also additions, and pretty much the SARONITE ore is a great farm for farming up titanium ore as well. And what you can also do is the SARONITE ore is going to be used for relics, so I would obviously keep a hold of it for relics. The price will increase as the supply dwindles once again, and also when it comes to titanium ore, you can also smelt those into titanium bars, and then subsequently you can turn that into titan steel bars and then sell that on for a higher price. You could also use this to create like things like the mechanized chopper, which is what I prefer to do. I usually will make a mechanized chopper through farming to craft the mechanized chopper with just the materials, as I find it is to be usually a good source of my time. Now overall, the SARONITE ore at the moment is seeming to be quite low gold per hour, but after SL's release you will probably see start a slow rise in the price of that. Now as soon as it starts, so what I would recommend is monitor SARONITE ore and see how the price increases until it baselines. That's what you're probably going to be wanting to look out for, is just to keep a close eye. This literally could be just keeping a look on Worth It or on TSM and just having a look at how the price is increasing and increasing, and as soon as it starts to flatline, that's probably when you're going to want to sell. And other than that, that is pretty much what I'll have to say for the Wintergrass farm. The only thing I would suggest is, however, is be a druid in order to get around the flight dismounting. I've covered that in multiple videos, and that is where you will fly around a specific zone of Wintergrasp, and then you will dismount in the air and then remount in the air, and that gets rid of the debuff. Other than that, guys, let's just jump into number 4. For number 4 isn't a relics one, this one's a lot different. This one is Enchanted Elementium. Now this one is a craft, not really a farm, but you can farm this up, so to speak. And that is by going over to Silithus. You can make use of the Silithus farm for the arcane crystals and thorium ore, and then providing you have an alchemist, you'll be able to turn that into arcanite bars. By using arcanite bars, you can then use that to craft and smelt your enchanted elementium, and then you can keep a hold of that. Give or take, you can usually get around about 2 enchanted elementium per hour through this farm, and that is kind of good overall. You will have to somewhat get some low ingots, which you can get from Blackwing Lair, or you can buy off the auction house for a couple of gold. They don't really sell for all that much unless you're on a really low pop server, and then it's probably best you run Blackwing Lair like once to get all of your ingots for the Enchanted Elementium. Now what usually happens between a new expansion is beforehand everyone's farming up all the different types of things like legendaries, all that stuff, and they're just trying to complete like random quest lines and all that stuff, and that means an oversupply of people farming these materials will obviously bring the price down. This is what we've seen with like Enchanted Elementium and all that stuff. So what I would recommend is by farming it up now or buying it, yes I am saying buy it, if it's at a cheap enough price. Now what you'll be doing is you'll be holding on to that until a few months after SL's release, and then you'll be able to resell that for a hefty profit, and then overall you'll be making a decent amount of gold for your time. That is kind of what I'm doing at the moment. I'm farming up different materials and just stockpiling them up, so when SL's release comes out and everything gets back up to normal, then I will then resell all of my materials, while at the same time I can then focus on the new materials and still pull in a hefty amount of gold overall just by waiting. Coming in at number 5 and last on our list is Deep Sea Satin. Now Deep Sea Satin is used for relics, and that will be used in your tailoring. What you'll be wanting to do for this is you can either do the freehold farm for Deep Sea Satin. You can do a couple of open world ones, but freehold seems to be the best for Deep Sea Satin. Now you will need an adequately geared character in order to do this, or if it's cheap enough, I would suggest buy that off the auction house. What you'll be wanting to do, however, when it comes to the farming method, you'll be wanting to run in there and burn them down. Much just do the farm for freehold the way you would running it for someone else. If failing that, you can also do some other open world farms when it comes to like the pirates. Overall, you can pretty much farm this up anywhere in the actual game at this moment in time, and it comes from most of the humanoid mobs, and primarily I would usually pick anywhere where the pirates are in Tiragard Sound, as I find they drop the most for me. Now other than that, what you'll be wanting to do for this one is buy it out cheap or farm it up and keep a nice stockpile of this, as this will be used for scaling the relics for the BFA crafted gear. So obviously this will be the second to last high powered gear when it comes to additions to the game, and then you'll be able to then resell that for a hefty profit as the supply will start to diminish over time, and then you can then reap the rewards of your waiting. Other than that, guys, that's pretty much all I have to say for 5 mats you should be farming before SL. Have an awesome rest of the day, and I shall see you in the next video, which will be tomorrow.